What's up guys, welcome back. This is the second part of my How to SoundMod series, and today I'm going to walk you guys through what tools I use to make my samples sound a little better, and also finish the interior sound so I can teach you guys how to put the actual sound into ASSETTO CORSA in the game. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the last video, the higher RPM samples were pretty messy, so I just sort of added, copy and pasted another track and recorded some straight pipe M4 samples. Just so you could hear the exhaust a little more in the interior, and that kind of masks up the imperfections in the first high RPM sample. In my opinion though, like the idle, it sounds weird. Like I don't know what I was doing, but I just recorded an interior idle sample from this empty competition. Okay, so this is a pretty good limiter sound right here. So I recorded it already. Cut out all the parts we don't need. Sounds pretty good. That's the thing about S55 rev limiters, is that it has that little fart at the beginning, but then it just mellows out as it goes through. It's okay, I guess. We're just gonna try to mix it up. Then for interior, if you're taking an exterior sound and putting it in the interior, I suggest lowering the treble a lot so it actually sounds like you're inside the car. A little more. Yep, sounds about right there. And as you notice, the levels went down, so we gotta up the volume a little bit. Okay. Since this is a static sample, or one that's not meant to move around like these ones, you just put it straight into FMOD instead of pitching them in Audition. Now that that's in here, let's go see how it sounds. Sounds like it should. Now that the acceleration sound is actually done, we're going to move on to the deceleration sound. So for Decel samples, it's pretty much the opposite. You want to pitch up this time instead of pitch down like the acceleration samples, so that it remains constant. Obviously it's a Decel sample, so it's different. But other than that, it's the same thing. That's the only thing different about it when you're doing deceleration samples as opposed to acceleration samples. one of the tools I'm talking about. It's the 3EQ tool where you adjust your low frequencies and mid frequencies and the high frequencies. So for this one, I don't know, it sounds like there's a lot of wind, so we can lower the high frequencies. Add some low ones too. And if I'm honest with you, it sounds good for the high RPM samples too, so we're just gonna keep this one and stretch it out. Okay, now that we put the lower Decel sample into FMOD, all we have to do next, copy the idle that we recorded, put it down here, and you're pretty much done. All you need to do now is just fine tune it, obviously. Okay, that's a problem. If that happens, create another track and stretch the interior idle all the way up. And what you want to do next, if it clicks like this here, I'll mute it for a second just for reference. If it does that, you can just delete the other interior idle. Make sure that you lower the volume of where the interior idle used to be on this track right here. And then, like I said, copy the interior idle over here, stretch it, and then adjust the volume so you don't hear it up top, and you're only going to hear it coming down to the 1000 RPM. Okay, it's a little quiet. There you go, no more click, easy. Okay, Decel samples are checked off. I don't know if you guys can tell by now, but I don't go by a certain sequence of events, or I just do tracks whenever I want to. And now, it just so happens that I want to do the burbles, so let's go search for some burble sounds. So the reason I decided to do burbles on this one is because I want to make a couple of versions where there's a stock version, no burbles, a tune version, the one with burbles, which is the one I'm doing right now, and then another version where, just like my M2 mod, has a gunshot tune to it from something like RKTune. Or Gintani tunes or whatever. Now that we got the burbles, just create a new track like I did. Usually what I do is just copy the decel curve, remove that for now at least, just put it to 0, and then we can grab our burbles, which is somewhere around here. Let me find it. With S55s, all S55s, if you let off the throttle after doing a pull at full throttle, makes a little fart sound. I know it sounds funny, but it's true. We're not gonna mess with that right now. I want to show you guys how to put your sound into FMOD, since we're about 90-95% done with the interior sound. You have to highlight the folder and everything in it, and click File, Export GUIDs, Save, Build. Now that that's done, go to Build, copy the GUID, paste, replace, and then find the desired bank that you just made. Yep, here we go. Copy, replace. Now, a lot of sound modders forget to do this step. And if you've been playing ASSETTO for a while, you know that if you download certain sound mods and have them play online or as AI, you're gonna hear either a different sound mod or it's just completely broken. That's because if you look at these GUIDs, it's just full of lines for different cars and sounds. So it's pretty easy to do this. You just start deleting all that. So do everything, do all that until you find your desired sound mod or bank, which is this one right here. Yep, it's done. And then delete the rest. Now, once we deleted all the other lines for the other cars, don't delete these because these are Kuno's lines. Don't delete those. Just delete basically all the lines that have different car names in it. I don't know why a lot of other sound modders don't do this, but it's a really easy fix and it could definitely lessen the issues for your sounds. It's a little bit of an annoying step, but that's all you have to do. Click save, and at this point you're ready to put it in the game. So let's load up. To be honest, we're gonna turn the burbles off for now. They're not tuned too well. We're gonna turn off the burbles for a little bit. Just put it to 0 or -80, you won't hear it anyway. I feel like the rev limiter could use a little bit more punch. Or maybe we're just not hitting it in game. So we're gonna extend it to 7200. Okay, sounds about right. Let's do that. Do the same thing, save, build. But you don't have to export GUIDs. You could just go straight to your desktop or FMOD SDK 1.9 build desktop, copy your bank, put it in SFX, and put it back in game again. Okay, so I turned down the rev limiter. We're gonna go out one more time, and this should be the last time I test the interior sound, unless I want to add any other details in mind. There you go. Okay, I do have some details in mind that I want to put on here, so we're not completely done with it. I forgot to put in the throttle and the let-off farts. See, it's just flat, you don't hear anything. The burbles obviously, but we kind of already did that. And the launch control, which this car does have. Yeah. All we have to do from this point is really like just add some details. Launch control, like I said, burbles, let-off farts. That's all there is to it.
1 hour later.
I just recorded some launch control samples. Now we're gonna put it into FMOD. Here we go, interior. Alright. Be very careful with the two-step or launch control. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, we could use a little bit of low pass. There you go. So for two-step, if you've seen, you know, a bowl of potatoes, Toyota Super SOUNDMOD, or other sound mods that have two-step, there's always a slight delay to the two-step itself, and that's for a good reason. You go into this little arrow right here, click time, plus add parameter condition, throttle, make sure it's at 100 or 99% to 100% throttle. That way when you're cruising and you're not at 100% throttle and you hit the sample, it's not going to play. Basically what this does is minimize contact with the launch control sound while you're driving, so that when you actually want to do launch control it plays, and then when you don't want it to play while you're going past the sample, it doesn't play. So what I just did right here is delay interval. I added some delay to it, that way when you're cruising around the sample it doesn't activate immediately. Here, I'll show you. So you don't want that to happen. So usually I set my launch control sounds at about 600 milliseconds. That means it'll take 600 milliseconds for it to activate, or you have to be in the sample range for it to activate for 600 milliseconds. And when you actually want to launch control, there you go. That's pretty easy. So I just added my burbles. I recycled it from the N55 sound in the M2. Sounds pretty good. I mean, I could always look for some more burble sounds, but it's not at the top of my list right now. There you go. Now that that's done, the only thing left to do is the let-off throttle, and in my opinion, if you're adding this in an interior sound, this is the hardest thing to do, at least for me. Oh, forgot the BMW chime too. Let me do that real quick. Just a cool little touch when you're just stationary and you're in a manual car and you have your RPM at 0, it's just gonna start up. Just a nice touch. You can always do that. Up the volume a little bit. We're gonna loop this one. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, we'll leave it looped. I found my first throttle let-off fart sample. Let's go ahead and record it. There you go. Yep. Once they get what they want, they go. But you gotta make sure you're strong. All my pay to get me songs. I've been feeling like I'm all alone. I still hit it, I'm in my own zone. They gon' think this shit is belong. That sounds like a fart, I'm sorry, but that sounds terrible. Alright, so I just put one of the first throttle samples into, or throttle fart samples into FMOD. What you want to do is stretch it out like that. And you know, make a volume, what do you call this? Make a volume profile that's shaped like this. Because obviously the throttle farts sound different at different RPMs. And what you want to do is, here, let's restart. You have to go to add modulation, auto pitch, don't loop it, and then set the pitch so that it's aligned with the original, or with the sound itself. So that's 4.8. Now click the little arrow, click plus, parameter conditions, and then there should be a throttle option. Click that, and stretch the left arrow out to 0. And usually with these M3s, M4s, M2 comps, these farts usually happen once you go full throttle for a little bit and then let off. And once it hits around 75% throttle, it goes off. You don't need to do any delays or anything like that. We'll just see how it sounds right now. It's a little too much cutoff. Good. I just showed you guys how to do the throttle farts and everything else that was needed to be done to the interior sound. So pretty much we're pretty much done at this point. We just have to put it into ASSETTO now.